What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Ram Jam with me, Jam Egx, also now co-hosting on Gaming History 101 with Fred. Now, it is likely that this solo podcast, which I have done in the past, will change in the future since Fred is doing a solo show occasionally entitled Extra Credit for Gaming History 101. And also, we both do the main show, Gaming History 101, which is aired on Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, which is midnight Greenwich Mean Time for me over in the UK. Definitely go check that out if you're new to Gaming History 101. Absolutely fantastic show if you're into retro gaming or just gaming in general, really. It's a good time. Tonight, though, for this show, I am just going to be talking about a recent convention I went to, which was EGX, formerly known as Eurogamer, but this is the Birmingham show. And this was over. I've lost the dates here. This is where I lose my notes already. There we go. 28th to the 30th of March, over the long weekend just there, and it was held in the Birmingham NEC Centre. And what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to kind of just go through a little bit about the show and just some of the games that were shown off there. This is very much a indie convention, so mostly concentrating on the indie games. Although this year, as a new thing, the convention was trying to focus a little bit more on a few mainstream titles, which we are going to get onto a little bit later. So anyway, yeah, so this festival held in Birmingham AC Centre. It's a very small venue for anyone that's listening from the States or, well, yeah, especially the States. This venue is incredibly small. If you're in the UK, you're probably quite familiar with this sort of size, only in a very, very, very small hall. But there was a lot shown off here. It was mostly PC stuff. There was quite a lot of exposure from Sony as well. Practically nothing from Microsoft, despite it being indie games and them claiming that they're still interested in the indie market. But hey, that's Microsoft for you. And literally a tiny section with Nintendo, and all they were showing was Pokemon. But what's really good about this convention, particularly, and I like about EGX also does the London. They've basically renamed now. So they used to be called Eurogamer, and they did the London show, and they do this little tiny one in Birmingham every year. And they basically now rebranded to EGX, so now it's just EGX. I think they're calling it EGX Birmingham. Well, no, it's EGX Resd. And the one at the end of the year is EGX London, which is that one more concentrates on mainstream titles. Some people would say it's kind of like the E3 of the UK, kind of. I mean, some people will quote me wrong there and say no, it's not. But it's probably the biggest convention at least in England anyway. And yeah, we'll probably talk about that a little bit later down the road. But let's talk a little bit more on what was actually shown. So of course there's the games, but what's also interesting about this convention is you also see a little bit of tabletop gaming. So if you like your Ticket to Ride, your various other tabletop games, or even the card games, they have a little bit of that over here, which is pretty cool to see. They have a little retro game scene as well, brought to I'm going to get this wrong, aren't I? There's a good they call it Replay, and that separate company does they do conventions like Play Expo, which is in Manchester and Blackpool, and they always have a little slight appearance. It's quite small, where they show off some of the retro consoles, microcomputers, British microcomputers, like the ZX Spectrum, the BBC. I'm going to get... Oh, dear, this is not one of my nights tonight. The BBC Micro, the Amstrad, and, of course, all the retro consoles that everybody knows about, the NES, the Super Nintendo, the Mega Drive, the Sega Master System, and they even, for this show, this year, they actually showed off a bit of landing up a bit, the old-fashioned LAN, with Half-Life. So they hooked, I think, 6 computers up and did a bit of multiplayer fun there, and people could just jump on these. They also had a few arcades there, a few pinball machines, and I think probably about 2 arcade machines, but lots of people queuing up for those, obviously. In fact, you could almost argue that the retro scene was a little bit more popular than the actual indie game scene at the convention. And of course, on top of tabletop gaming and retro gaming, they also just do the general advertising. They had a bit of Twitch exposure there, sort of advertising Twitch, and they had a fight zone, which is concentrating solely on fighting games, obviously mostly your Street Fighter 4s, and a bit of Tekken as well, which I saw there, which is interesting. And, very small, but but a really good show. And let's now jump straight though into what games that I played there, and kind of a bit of my opinion. So this is, I always have to definitely state that this is my opinion, and certainly the stuff I played is all demos and is not necessarily a reflection of what the final product is going to be like. So let's just give you a fair warning there. Right, so let's jump into the mainstream title. Mainstream title that was shown off there, and that was Alien Isolation, not Aliens, not to be confused with that. Alien Isolation, loosely based off the original 1979 film Alien, which is, for the record, probably my favourite film in that franchise, which I always go on record to say, because I'm a little bit more fan of a horror film than I am of the kind of the thriller style. I'm not against Aliens at all. I like Aliens too. It's just I like the first film better. So this game kind of came across as right up my alley, actually, because it is a spiritual sequel to the original film. You play as Amanda Ripley. For anyone that hasn't seen the original film, you're basically searching for Amanda Ripley searching for her mother, who was the main character from the film. And of course, anyone knows at the ending of that film, she just sort of drifts off into space in the space shuttle. Sorry, spoilers. But come on, guys, it's an old film. You should have seen it by now. Anyway, so you play as Amanda Ripley, and this game is first person. They were showing off the game on PC, PlayStation 4, and the Xbox One. I played it on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox. I actually literally had a chance to play it twice. I didn't get a chance to go on PC, so I can't really speak to that. In my opinion, from what I played, both versions graphically pretty much looked identical. Obviously, I didn't. The monitors weren't side by side, but I didn't particularly notice any difference. And the demos played exactly the same as well. So, first person. The biggest emphasis on this game, is some people may be aware, is kind of horror, really. So there's only one enemy, and the one enemy is the alien. And again, if you're familiar with the first film, that's kind of what they're kind of going for. Graphically, the game looks amazing. If you love the original film, I think it's really important to emphasize that. If you're a fan of the original film, you'll like the kind of attention to detail here. They really make the ship where the demo is based kind of really modelled after the set of the original 1979 film, in its kind of, their interpretation of what the future would be like in terms of space. So I found that quite interesting, and definitely some really, really nice nods there to the fans. Slight issue though is the game, really. I find this interesting that this is, I believe it's a retail title. I did ask someone there and they did say that this is going to be a physical retail copy coming out, but I really struggled to see why is this a game or a retail copy, really? I'm kind of confused of what more they're going to do with this game. And I'll get to that now, really. Is the game very much feels like hide and seek. I don't want to say it's like Slender Man or anything like that, because obviously that game is kind of like it's like that interesting little horror experiment they did, because this game does have depth to it, and this is where I'm going to sort of annoy Slender Man fans, but let's just say it does have depth to it, and you can see where the alien is. Though, first off, let's just quickly describe the demo. So basically, they quickly give you a quick tutorial of the controls. Then you get into a certain arena area. You fiddle on the computer, you hack a computer, and then the alien drops down, and then you need to get to the exit without the alien seeing you. You have a little sort of radar, very reminiscent of the films. Even in a way, it kind of feels a bit like Aliens as well there, with the little radar, with the little beep boop. And the radar very clearly tells you where the alien is, or at least gives you an idea. What's really cool with this is that when you look at the radar, your vision in the distance blurs, and I thought that was a very nice attention to detail. And then obviously when you're not looking at the radar and you hold a button down to focus on your radar, your vision obviously focuses for the distance. So that was quite a good idea for this. Sound is a really big thing in this game as well, which I definitely noticed while playing it. You can hear the alien coming, which is actually quite important. A lot of it really is just kind of avoiding. So it appeared to me in the demo that the alien kind of followed a set path in a way. You just had to kind of stay out of that path. So it wasn't too difficult. They advertise this game as that you wouldn't know where the alien is. The first section of the demo, it was very clear nothing was going to jump out at you. In fact, it was very clear when the alien was present. So I never kind of got what they were trying to say to me, where there would be a big surprise. Particularly, it was always very clear when there was a threat and when there wasn't, really, in this demo. I enjoyed the demo. It was interesting, but I just kind of thought, from the little bit I played, you kind of questioned, is this all the game is going to be for I don't know, several hours, or are they going to be doing anything more of it? I noticed when they show the controls off on the little bit of paper in front of you that it said one of them was reload button, but then it had in brackets not applicable for this demo. So I don't know if that means that they're going to be doing gun stuff in this game, full game or not. But I mean, I'm probably going to get this game just because, yeah, I'm a fan of the Alien franchise. I brought Aliens Colonial Marines, and I'm one of those few people that actually quite like that game. I didn't mind it. Obviously, funny enough, though, I didn't buy that game full price. I got it when it was cheap. And that game can be picked up for quite literally nothing these days. So yeah, I'll probably give this game a go and see what it is. But I'm not sure in terms of, I guess how it's been advertised. I don't think it's what people are looking. I don't know if it's what they're expecting really. Are people expecting this to be better than Colonial Marines? Or I think you've got to look at this game as something completely separate. It's a nice idea. I'm surprised it's a retail game. It looks like it would be perfect for a fairly short download title, but the final product might show otherwise. But that's Alien Isolation. I'm going to get that wrong several times tonight. So let's just move on straight from that. That's probably that's the main mainstream game they had on display there. Had a nice little display as well. When you went inside, it's all dark and dingy, and you put the headphones on, you play a demo. One last point though for that is I didn't care too much for them voice acting in that demo, but that's not really relevant at the moment. Let's just move on to another game. So let's go into some indie games. So that's what this kind of mini cast is all about, is giving some credit to those indie developers. And there was a lot of indie games at this show. So let's start off with Eden Star. Eden Star is a PC indie game. And let me just get my notes quickly and find out who did it. This is from Flix Interactive. Obviously, I'm guessing from what I gather, they're quite new to the scene. The game is a first-person perspective game where it's kind of tower defense, kind of resource collecting. Your character is the way they're the developer. I think it's the developer. He described to me it's kind of a mix of Iron Man, because you've got this kind of like shooting power that very much like Iron Man. Like you can charge a shot from your hand and shoot at objects, as well as a little bit of telekinesis, which is kind of cool. So you can grab an enemy and fling it at a wall or fling it at another enemy. This game was interesting. I didn't mind it. It was on the keyboard controls, and I really sucked at the keyboard controls. Then the guy, nicely, he hooked me up with the Xbox controller through the PC, and I found that a lot easier. It's a lot of fun, but being an indie game, obviously the graphics aren't great. There's not much enemy variation here. There's only one enemy that I actually fought against. There's just this kind of like tentacle robots basically, and basically the demo was you defending this little kind of like little beacon where you could, and what you could do intermittently, basically it was in waves, so enemies came in waves. Everyone knows it's a bit like horde mode for most games, where enemies come, you destroy them, and then you have a little bit of period of time to get yourself together. In this period of time you can collect resources, so you can kind of just like destroy blocks which are just around the little map there, and then you can put the blocks into the beacon, then you can extract kind of resources from the beacon, and then you can build things like turrets, you can build walls, and that's quite nice how you could do that. You could actually manually adjust the wall orientation and you basically build the wall how you wanted. You could put the turrets wherever you wanted. There's a lot of sort of flexibility, and the controls are fun, doing the kind of like the Iron Man-esque shooting, and was generally good fun to do. I'm guessing that when this game does come to retail, it's not going to be a retail. This will be a download title. That maybe there'll be more enemies, maybe there'll be obviously more variation of maps, but not a bad game. Really enjoyed the demo anyway, and something the developer definitely seemed to want to go for something quite different and new. I guess the only deterrent though is that if that is the only enemy that you fight against, then it looks like it's something that might get boring quite quickly. I didn't know, the demo did feel like it dragged a bit. Like the waves just kept coming. In fact, I didn't actually finish the demo because it was just consistent waves. I don't know if there was an ending, but what we tried was fun. So moving on. Actually, this next game probably isn't an indie game. Maybe it is. Flockers. So this is the Team 17 game. Some people may notice from the general mainstream websites that this was revealed as the next Team 17 project. Some people know this developer for Worms. Maybe most people have played Worms, so this is their next. I don't know if they're considering it their next big project. I guess it would be, but all I kind of saw when I played this was Lemmings. Really, it really feels like Lemmings. Maybe obviously a very updated version of Lemmings, but obviously if anyone remembers Lemmings, that old game for the Amiga, where the little, well, they are lemmings, they have little blue coats on, they're consistently walking a set path, and you have to use your little mouse cursor to get them to do certain tasks like dig or build walls and basically get them to the goal. And this game very much was getting the sheep to the goal, where without, well, trying to kill as few of them in the process as possible. So it was quite entertaining though, because obviously there's all these traps. There was a lot of emphasis on switches. So if the sheep stepped on a switch, then like a trap would fall. It would usually kill quite a few of the sheep behind the one that stepped on the switch. So a lot of it was trying to avoid pressing on these switches. You could orientate the sheep to make them like form stairs. You can get sheep to do certain tasks. Some people might remember from the Worms game that they had these infamous super sheep. You could basically put little capes on these sheep and they can fly up walls. It very much felt like Lemmings. It kind of fun. I didn't particularly mediocre to me. Lemmings is okay. This was okay, but didn't blow me away. But will be interesting to see how this does when it gets released. I'm assuming this is coming to Steam, but I don't think there's a console release on the horizon just yet. Next up, this one really did interest me. This is a game called Gods Will Be Watching. Now, this was a Kickstarter project, and this comes from Deconstruction. Is that right? Nope. Deconstruct Team, the developers. So Gods Will Be Watching is what's interesting about this game is you can play a beta at the moment. If you go to their website, just Google Gods Will Be Watching, and then you can actually play kind of like a mini demo of this right now, and you can play it just off your web browser, which is quite interesting. Won't give you the feel for the game like this demo that I played. The demo I played, I believe, is from the final product, which is quite fascinating. This game is a very sort of retro-looking, they call it a thriller, point-and-click adventure, but heavy emphasis on moral choices, basically. So you've got to make difficult decisions constantly, and bad things happen. In this demo, you basically have multiple characters that are round a fireplace, and they all have different skills, and you play as a captain, and you basically I believe you've crash landed on a planet, and the radio's broken, and you've basically got to survive for 40 days. And what the big kind of hook of the game is you basically go through, I believe you go through 40 days, though it felt a lot quicker when I played it. Maybe they skip a few days now and then. So you're allowed to make 5 decisions per day. That's it. And when you say decisions, one decision, it could include like gathering firewood, going hunting, getting food, maybe giving your team a reassuring pep talk, or giving one person a reassuring pep talk. Every decision counts, and that's what made this quite interesting to play as a demo. So because there's so many characters and there's so many things you need to do. It's very difficult to basically keep everyone happy, and basically, especially, you usually find very quickly that somebody would get nervous, or someone would get ill, and because you only had 5 decisions to make every day, it was very likely someone could die. What was also quite interesting is you could actually choose to shoot some of the characters to make it, I guess, kind of make it easier on yourself, but that would obviously lower the morale of the other characters. I'm not really sure what the goal of this game is, but I guess the idea was to try and make everyone survive. But it really felt like, from what I played, it was near impossible to make every character survive. I won't spoil too much, but I did the demo to completion, and I managed to get only 2 of the, I believe, 5 characters to survive till the end. I won't say which ones though. The characters include, you have a dog who was one of the just a dog. You have a kind of like a soldier, like a hunter. You have a doctor, and basically the dog can hunt, but you can choose a selection. He's got like a 60% chance of success. The soldier can go hunting as well, but he can use his gun, or he can make a spear, and he's got a better chance of success at hunting. There's a doctor that can make medicine, so if any of your team gets ill, he can make some more medicine to make them better. There's another character, a female character, who can give the whole team a pep talk, but the sacrifice to her doing that is it sacrifices half a day. So actually wastes more decisions than 5, I guess 2.5 or maybe 3. There's another character who's a captain that's good at fixing the radio, and you have a robot that can also fix the radio, and he can also tell you the status of all of your crew, all the survivors, and he can tell you basically how everyone's doing, so who's kind of nervous, who's losing morale, who you maybe need to concentrate on to help survive, and then you've got your main character who he's responsible for cooking, collecting firewood, and doing all those sort of things. So yeah, 5 decisions, and it is possible you can fail the game if you're stupid and don't do something simple like keep the fire burning, because if the fire goes out then everybody dies because they freeze during the night. So lots of, very much a thinking game, but I guess not particularly challenging because all of it really is decision making. But I believe that there is more to this game later. There is more elements to this game. This is just one section, but definitely something to look out for. And I guess for the right price, definitely worth investing in as well. So keep an eye out for Gods Will Be Watching. Next up was a Vita game. We will give the Vita some love, actually. This one is available right now. It's a game called Gunslugs, which I really, really enjoyed. It's basically a really, really simple retro shooter. So you're basically a little tiny kind of pixel, I guess you kind of say very sort of what am I saying? Metal Slug inspired game and this game comes from just Sony Computer Entertainment. I don't think they're a developer, but that's all they wrote down on the notes just here. That's all I've got written down on the notes just here. I need to find out who did this, but this game is available on PlayStation Vita right now, at least in the UK, for just $1.99, so maybe I don't know, $3 in America. And it's basically a roguelike shooter, 2D shooter. You just side scrolling. You just play each level. You've got to destroy bases and just shoot people and get as far as you can. If you die, you start right back from the beginning. But this game is just so addictive. And as soon as I found out that it was available right now on the Vita, I brought it straight away for $1.99. That is a steal of a price, and I've had so much fun playing this game. You have like objectives, so you've got like additional objectives. Almost they kind of act like achievements. I think they unlock some of them unlock trophies as well, like destroy 2 enemies at once while in the air. Just do something fancy like this, use this weapon, find this character. And there's a lot of pop culture references in this game as well. You can regularly enter little buildings and you'll see cameo appearances of characters like Gandalf, you'll see Princess Peach occasionally, you find Robocop occasionally, and you might even see Doctor Who while you're at it. And they all kind of offer something different. There's a lot of love to sort of the retro scene here. There's even like the odd bonus level where one that's inspired by sort of Donkey Kong, and it's just a ton of fun to play this game. I really just genuinely enjoyed it for such a cheap price. And if you have a Vita, this one is really, really worth picking up. Definitely not an upcoming game because it's out right now, but definitely worth your time. So we might as well stick with the Vita. So there's a game that was not too far away from that one called TXK, which is a kind of a spiritual successor to Tempest, where, basically, it is Tempest, even though the guy was telling me, no, it's a spiritual successor. I believe the guy who worked on this, I don't have the notes just in front of me, let me grab that. I believe the guy who did originally work on Tempest 2000 actually did develop this game, but I shall get that information in just a moment. Yeah, you can tell I am so well prepared for this podcast, or mini-cast, whatever you call it. But yeah, THK, you play, if anyone's played Tempest, you play as like this little, kind of like a line, and it's kind of vector graphics in a way, but obviously this being on a Vita isn't vector based, but obviously they've designed it to look like that. I love these graphics. I've never owned a Vectrex. I would love to own a Vectrex, even though it's very unlikely over here because this console is very rare and very expensive, but vector graphics just look fantastic and beautiful, and this game really captures that retro scene, and it's just a ton of fun to play. You can collect power-ups. You basically collect power-ups. You shoot spaceships while kind of rotating around a plane, like a little sort of map, and which varies in size per level. Very, very quick, and just a ton of fun. There we go. So it's this. Let's see here. This. I don't have notes. I might add it in later. It says here Jeff Minter worked on this game, who I believe was involved in the original Tempest, and this is supposed to be one of his final projects, on this genre really, which is good. So it's good to have the people, a bit like the original creator of Pac-Man worked on Championship Edition. It's nice to see some of these old developers come back and work on games and really capture that sort of flavour from the original. So that's TXK, and that is available right now as well. I believe that's a little bit more expensive than Gunslugs. This one is retailing at, at least right now anyway, I believe it's on PlayStation Plus for $5.49. But still, definitely worth picking up. Go check it out, especially if you love Tempest or enjoy vector-based games. Definitely pick this one up. Moving on, let's go to Murasaki Baby, which probably gets the award for the weirdest game I played. Didn't really care for this one particularly at all. This is I like the art style. It's very Tim Burton inspired. You're basically, I guess it's a Murasaki Baby, whatever that is. It's kind of like you basically use the touch controls of the Vita, and it's like a little baby character that you hold its hand and you lead it across the level, and you use touch screens to make it jump over gaps. Then you obviously use the touch controls to move lights to keep it protected, basically protecting this character. But I just didn't find these touch controls worked at all with this game. It just wasn't fun at all. Rather frustrating. Maybe the Vita I was playing on was just crap, and because obviously I remember these demo units, they've been used by many people during the day. But the only thing I saw having going for it was the Tim Burton inspired graphics, which looked kind of cool. I'm not a huge fan of Tim Burton, to be honest, but I like the idea of it. It looked hand drawn. I like hand drawn. That's not bad at all. But I didn't particularly enjoy this. It looks cool, and I like the fact it is trying something different. I guess it depends on the price. This game isn't out yet, and I don't know what this is going to be retailing for. I'm guessing it's going to be a download title as well, and I don't have any information on the developer. It just says Sony Computer Entertainment here as well, which I'm expect that it's the publisher. But yeah, it could be. I guess there's an audience for this. It comes across as something that might be better suited to the 3DS, though, which is interesting. It's on the Vita, but again, the Vita touch screen is bigger than the 3DS. At least if you've got the standard 3DS, anyway, maybe the XL's a little bit larger. But yeah, I mean, worth checking out, but I don't think this one's particularly a buy. So that's Murasaki Baby. Definitely the weirdest game that I played in the convention, even though I don't think I really told much about what actually happens in the game. Really what it is you're just leading this character along for a level, and then in the background's all kind of like horror-esque, and there's weird sound effects, and it's all kind of spooky and things like that. And then even the baby that you're directing is creepy as anything. Like her head has like teeth and everything. It's kind of funny, but I guess it's trying to go for that kind of cute vibe. But that's that. Let's move on to PS4. Now, before we get onto PS4 indie games, what I found really interesting is a lot of these games, I mean, I'm genuinely surprised, and these are the games I'm about to mention as well. They're PS4 exclusives, and yet they're not coming to PS3, which is kind of interesting. I don't own a PS4 yet. I probably will do at some point in the future, but you don't half look at some of these indie games and think, yeah, that can kind of play on the PS3 as well, but for some reason it's not being released on the PS3. Interesting. Some developers are still releasing indie games on the PS3, and in fact some developers are doing it across PS3, PS4 and Vita, which is pretty cool, especially when it's cross-buy. Certainly a game, Doki Doki Universe, did that fairly recently, and that's great. I love stuff like that. I play the Vita a lot, and I love cross-buy. It's one of the best features, I think, between Sony platforms, which makes it more encouraging to buy a PS4 if you can play across your Vita and the PS4 and even the PS3. Why not? So let's get into these games. So the first one is Mercenary Kings, which is currently the PlayStation Plus free game if you have a PS4. Now, people might remember this game as the Kickstarter project from the good folks that brought us Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. That's it, the video game version. And this game is very Metal Slug inspired, but kind of Metal Slug with RPG elements. Basically, in it, you can choose your character. You can be male or female. You can change your color palette. Excuse me. You can select your weapons. You can upgrade your weapons. You upgrade your character. You collect money, and it's very mission based. You choose a mission. You go and do the mission. You usually revisit the same level several times, but do something slightly differently. Some people I was talking to said it was kind of like Monster Hunter. I wouldn't say it's entirely like Monster Hunter, but a lot of fun. Very tricky because you could play this game with up to 4 people split screen, which is really cool, but you do have a set amount of lives, and the more people you go into this game with, the harder it is, because if you lose all your lives, the mission is over, even if players are still alive on the map. So it doesn't wait until every character is dead. It waits till you have 0 lives left, basically. So potentially one person can ruin for everybody. So I found this game a lot easier when I was just playing it with my lady friend, when we just played 2-player, because you'd had a few more lives and then there's less chance of someone buggering up. In fact, we did so well in the demo with one of the reps for Sony was looking at watching us play and said we were the only 2 people to have got through 3 missions. In fact, got through any mission without dying. I don't think the game's probably that hard, but obviously this is a demo, so people are just kind of having fun with it and playing around. I really enjoyed it. I love the graphic style of Mercenary Kings, and I love the graphic. It's pretty much identical to Scott Pilgrim if you've played that game. So they're really going for that kind of NES, SNES kind of esque, and then the music is kind of chip tune as well, which is cool. And 2D, and I love Metal Slug as well. It's obviously it's not entirely like Metal Slug, because Metal Slug is a one-hit dead kind of game. This one is you have a health bar, so you can be hit a few times before you go down. But that's probably definitely the main sort of inspiration for this, and it seems like a lot of fun. I can see where some people have criticised it because it looks a bit repetitive in areas, but I can see this game being a lot of fun, and we really enjoy playing through this, and I think my lady friend did give this one of her game of shows as well. Not sure I'd give it my game of show, but I'll come on to that towards the end of this mini cast. So moving on from that, next up is Towerfall Ascension. Now this game was originally a Ouya game, of all things, and obviously it did so well on a Ouya, you might as well port it to some other consoles. So they brought it to Steam, which I believe it is available right now, and it's also coming to the PS4 if it hasn't already done so when I've uploaded this. So Towerfall Ascension is a 2D, again, retro looking game on a 2D plane, and apparently the developers, they've written down here that it's inspired by multiplayer games like GoldenEye, which is interesting. That's a bit different. So trying to bring back that couch gaming enjoyment again. And you play as a character, basically an archer. You have 3 arrows, and you've got 2 modes. You can either do versus or kind of like a co-op campaign. Co-op campaign is just you and up to 4 players, basically shooting all the bad guys in the arena, again, kind of like a mini horde mode. The hook to this is you have a limited amount of arrows, so if you waste all your arrows, you have to recollect them from the environment. There is friendly fire, so you can hurt your fellow teammates, but if you're playing versus, the hook is to get your teammates anyway. Definitely a ton of fun, Towerfall Ascension. Definitely does go for what it says on the tin, which is fun, and there was obviously multiplayer is what they're really kind of focusing on as well. I believe this is going to be online multiplayer as well, so which is definitely a good idea, at least for the PS4 anyway, so you can play this across the internet with people. And definitely, I'm not sure if it would maybe, if you're looking for something, obviously, a lot of these indie games and certainly retro inspired games are designed for the sort of the short burst feeling, but this definitely has. We played both the versus and the kind of campaign, and I found both just a ton of fun, whether you're playing with other people and trying to kill them, or obviously trying to gun against a computer. It's even more fun in that one because obviously you can, by accident or intentionally, take out your fellow teammate as well, which is just great. And the whole kind of recollecting your arrows is a nice little twist to it as well, so it gives you limited ammo and you've got to kind of think about your shots, and the controls worked very well too. Essentially just one button to aim your arrows and one button to shoot them, and you can jump as well. And again, there's sort of those retro looking graphics just look fantastic. It's just a shame that it's on PS4, because this is the same with Mercenary Kings as well, because both games feel very suited again to the Vita, and there's no reason, I can't see any reason why they can't be on PS3 as well, but that's just my opinion. So let's move on to one that most people will probably know about, which is Hotline Miami 2. I really enjoyed Hotline Miami, the first one. I didn't play it until it was on PS3 and the Vita, and I played it through on both systems, and it's cross-buy across those as well. So I felt like it's a slightly different experience on both consoles, because the Vita has the touch control, has a sort of loose touch controls, and the PS3 has obviously doesn't have touch controls full stop. But I don't think Hotline Miami 2 is coming to PS3. I think it's PS4 and Vita. But I played the Vita version, and if you've played Hotline Miami, you obviously know that it's quite a tricky game. One hit dead kind of thing. It's the over the top view, a bit like the original GTA, and you're basically just going through and killing every enemy. But if you get hit, if you get hit once, unless you've got a special mask on, you die instantly. And it's got that instant replay value just to try and go get just that little bit further and take everybody out and complete the level. I just going into this game straight away level 1, because they let you play the first 2 levels of the game. That was the demo. Very tough from the beginning. They literally, it really feels like just a sequel. You're jumping straight off the original Hotline Miami. There's no faffing around here. They don't make it easy. The first level is tricky, and they make it incredibly hard as well. So I noticed quite a few people who are playing this demo were really rage quitting because they just couldn't get their head around it. But I'm guessing they hadn't played the original Hotline Miami anyway. So if you're new to the series, I'd probably recommend you start with the first game before you jump into this anyway, because it was very, very tough. But I liked that, and this was very enjoyable. I did complete both levels, and it was a ton of fun to play. There's new weapons. It's got the crazy story to it as well, just like the original. I had no idea what was going on, but then again, I barely understood what was going on in the original either. But if you love the same graphical styles there, I love that graphical style for Hotline Miami. Again, a very retro feel to it, and the gameplay is just fantastic. Has that just one more go, and and obviously it has Hotline Miami 2 and 1 have a ton of replay value to it. You can replay levels differently. You can choose different masks, which are kind of the masks that you choose are kind of actors. They give you slightly different perks. Like one mask might be more tailored to you using your fists, whereas one might be make you more give you one but give you one bullet resistance. That's it. And then when you're shot twice, you're dead. All those sort of things. But you only got to choose between 2 masks, and you only play 2 levels. But from what I saw, most people didn't get past those 2 levels. But a ton of fun. It's more of the same, but they keep that difficulty right at the top, right from the start. So God forbid what the rest of the game is like if they start off on that note with that game. But you won't be disappointed if you like that. So that is pretty much it. There was a lot of... I'm not going to talk too much about... A lot of the games here are already available on various consoles. I know I have talked about a lot of games that have been... available. They had a lot of games that they have already been released, which is kind of common at these sort of conventions. They are, of course, going to show off games that are currently available. I'll just list a few. They had Foul Play there, which is already available on Xbox Live. It's like that's the 2D brawler that came out fairly recently. I think it's last year. Could be wrong there. God, I'm losing my notes again here. Yeah, they had Wasteland 2, which is the recent PC game that which is available on Steam, that was, again, successfully funded through Kickstarter. And I don't know why I made that sort of a singing voice there, but why not? And they had, I believe this is available right now, War Thunder. That's going back to kind of the mainstream stuff. So the War Thunder, which is the massive kind of free-to-play multiplayer World War shooter. It's kind of World War vehicle multiplayer where you fly in planes and tanks, and that's on PC and PS4. That looked pretty cool. And Cloud Built. That's a game that's available on Steam right now, and yeah. Oh, there's the Dead Pixels 2. I do apologise. There is a few here left there. So, yes, Dead Pixels 2. I'll talk about this. What is my time looking at the moment? So, yeah. Well, if you don't want to listen to it, you can just shut off the podcast now, can't you? Oh, dear. I'm not selling this very well. So, Dead Pixels 2. Anyone that is aware, this game was released on Xbox Live Indie Arcades. The original one was anyway, which is just titled Dead Pixel or Dead Pixels. Basically, like a zombie. It felt like kind of like a retro zombie game with kind of like that River City Ransom kind of graphical style, but the emphasis was more just sort of shooting zombies. The original was pretty fun, but they've obviously come back with this sequel, which is good to see, which is PC only, so I'm guessing they got fed up with Microsoft and decided to go for Steam. And it looks like it's basically more of the same, but just with a bit more depth. So you can now change your weapons, upgrade weapons, you can really customize your character, and obviously shoot more zombies. So lots of zombies. If you like zombies, you'll probably like this game. I love the title of it, though. That's why I wanted to mention this. It's called Dead Pixels 2 straight to VHS, so you got to give them credit there. And on their display, they had these little sort of fake VHS cases for the game with the artwork on it, and I just thought that's just fantastic. That's a great way to sell your game. Well done, guys. And the last one we'll talk about is, what is it? Not the Hero. Not a Hero. That's what it's called. Which is this is a PC. Well, this is on the PC as well. Very a 2D kind of. They call it like a 2D. Or what was that game called that Platinum Studios released? Vanquish. 2D Vanquish, where you're playing as a little sprite character. You can take cover in the walls, but a lot of it is you sliding while sort of shooting at characters in the distance. And basically, it's essentially the game is you just clearing out the building of bad guys. Though being called Not a Hero, I'm not sure if you're the bad guy or they're the bad guy, but who knows? Seems like a lot of fun. This is going to be Steam. I believe they want this to come to Vita and PS4, but they haven't decided yet. I guess they're going to see how successful it gets, but yeah, a lot of fun. Very difficult. Well, again, it felt like it was going for kind of like the Hotline Miami kind of feel, where challenging, and it has that instant replay value. So if you die, you just go straight back and start again instantly. Loading or anything like that. Yeah, and it seemed pretty good. That's the last one we'll get to. I think that rounds it up quite nicely for time as well. So that is EGX and EGX Rezzed, and some of the games that I checked out there. Excellent show. Really, really had a great time there. I really, really like these indie shows. I decided. I think because you see these games, because it gives you hands-on time to actually talk to some of the people that made these games, and talk to some of the developers, and you see some special stuff here, as opposed to the usual stuff that's sort of Eurogamer, or even though they're calling it EGX London now, where you're more concentrated on the mainstream stuff. Because some of these indie games, they're just fantastic. A lot of it does feel very sort of retro inspired, but since I do a retro podcast now anyway, so obviously retro is kind of my thing, and I totally dig it. And a lot of these games, you have to remember, are not going to be retailed for very much. And I think if I hadn't gone to this show, a lot of these games I wouldn't have picked up at all, or I might have just gone by them because I wouldn't have known. Well, mostly wouldn't have known their existence. Obviously, noteworthy putting Gunslugs and TXK, I probably would have just passed on just because I wouldn't have known a release. I know Gunslugs certainly has no advertising on it at all. So before we finish, so what would I call my game of show? Ooh, this is a tough one. I think I did leave this on the feedback of the show itself, but I think, let's be old-fashioned. I will go with my lady and say Mercenary Kings was probably my game of show, just because we had a ton of fun playing it, really. And we were just sitting in our booth and playing it, and people just seemed happy just standing behind us and watching as well. I don't know, it seems a bit of a cop-out because it's not an upcoming game. It is released now. It's actually available right now on Steam as well as the PS4 for free if you have the PlayStation Plus account, but who wouldn't have PlayStation Plus if you've got PS4? Just really enjoyed that. Weirdest game, definitely Murasaki Baby. Good art style, but kind of a bit weird. And certainly the hidden gem I'd definitely give to Gunslugs on the Vita. Again, it's not one that's upcoming, it's one that's already available, but I just think that game, I can totally see that just not getting any love at all by anybody, and definitely deserves a little bit of attention and a bit of awareness, because it's just so much fun to play. I'm not a big person into roguelike shooters or roguelike games in general, but this really did have that short burst gameplay, and just you could just have a quick go at it, and just and you'd be satisfied. And I have this already; it's already on my Vita. I've been playing it. I've been playing this game to death. I've been sinking many hours into it, and just really enjoying it. And I would definitely recommend that. Which is funny because I should have just given it my game of show, shouldn't I? No, I think Mercenary Kings is good for the game of show, but this is definitely a hidden gem of the show. Definitely go buy that. If you have a Vita. It's so cheap, guys, come on. Anyway, just before we finish, let's just do a little bit of housekeeping as well. So, as I said at the beginning, if you want to check me out if you want to check out my work, check me out on Twitter. I am at Jam Egx on Twitter, or the Jamster, for God's sake, JAMALAIS. But I'll put the spelling of that in the description of this. And also check me out on Gaming History 101 on Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, or midnight, next following day, Wednesday midnight on Greenwich Mean Time. with my amazing co-host, Mr. Fred Rojas, famous on the B Team. He also runs the website Gaming History 101, where there is many articles there worth your time and attention to read into. Mostly focused on retro stuff, but there is a few little modern snippets in there as well, and a little bit of attention to the indie scene too. And finally, I'll just give a plug to a website that I often write for, which is retrogamegeeks.co.uk. That's all one word. Retro Game Geeks, all in one word. Go check those guys out. Very, very, very nice community there. Go join the forum as well. And of course, well, might as well, because they're linked to Gaming History 101. Also check out Easy Mode Unlocked. They have a great podcast and a great forum as well. That's easymodeunlocked.com. And go check those guys out. So lots and lots of plugs there, lots of things to check out too, and I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks for listening. Bye.